This is activity 68, and the question here in this liberty analysis is, what's going to promote liberty in the sense of living under a government that has limits on what it can do through a constitution? The way I'm going to look at this especially is what's going to keep the federal government within its limits. The states do have to stay within their limits of guaranteeing life, liberty, and property, but in all these cases, the question is going to be more, what's going to keep the federal government within its limits? We've already seen that the federal government expanded its power legitimately by the ratification of the 14th Amendment. 3/4 of the states agreed. So federal government has authority over life, liberty, and property, but not personal liberties. So if you look at Griswold versus Connecticut, Connecticut having laws prohibiting the use of birth control pills, instruments that prevent conception, Connecticut winning would promote liberty in the sense of constitutionally limited government. And the reason why is that for Griswold to win, the federal government would have to get into the area of personal liberties. It doesn't have authority over that. If it makes a ruling on that, then it's ignoring this limit, and liberty in the sense of constitutionally limited government decreases. If Connecticut wins, then that promotes constitutionally limited government because it keeps the federal government within its limits, its constitutional limits. This is really true of all of these. In letter B, Loving versus Virginia, as much as we want to see interracial marriages to be legalized, just from the point of view of constitutionally limited government, again, the 14th Amendment does not give the Supreme Court power over personal liberties. So for Loving to win, the federal government, the U.S. Supreme Court would have to get involved in personal liberties, strike down the Virginia law, and the constitutionally limited government would be decreased. If Virginia wins, then it keeps the federal government within its limits. Even though in this case we might want to see the federal government go beyond its limits, if you're just looking at limited government, then you want the federal government to stay within its limits. Roe v. Wade, the same thing. Wade winning would promote constitutionally limited government because it would keep the federal government out of the area of personal liberties, which is under state jurisdiction. That's the important thing to remember here, that personal liberties are under state jurisdiction. So if the federal government interferes with personal liberties, they're going beyond their limits, and constitutionally limited government decreases. Letter D, same with Lawrence versus Texas. Texas winning promotes constitutionally limited government, keeps the federal government out of the area of personal liberties. If Lawrence wins, the Supreme Court has to get into the area of personal liberties, which is under state jurisdiction, according to the U.S. Constitution, as ratified by the people of the United States when they ratified the 14th Amendment. In Activity 69, we're going to focus on independence. It came up in class that just a shorthand way of answering this question is the state winning will always promote independence. The reason why is because independence means living under your own laws without outside interference. So in Griswold versus Connecticut, what's going to let the people of Connecticut live under the laws they want without outside interference? It's Connecticut winning. If the Supreme Court coming in from the outside strikes down the Connecticut law, then Connecticut is no longer enjoying its independence in an area where it should have independence. The people from the outside, their political community, are telling them they can't have a law that they want to have. Same with Loving versus Virginia. Virginia winning would promote independence because then the people of Virginia would be able to live under the laws they want to without outside interference. Now, in this case, you might say that you'd rather Virginia not be independent, and maybe that's a good point. But if you're just focusing on independence, then Virginia winning would promote that. Letter C, same with Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade is a case where the people of Texas considered abortion to be the taking of human life, and so we prohibited it. And it was struck down by the Supreme Court, and so people from the outside coming in, telling the people of Texas what kind of laws we can and cannot have, decreases independence. So the question question really is, who should decide the laws that the people of Texas are going to live under? Should it be the people of Texas, or should it be people who have never set foot maybe in Texas? Letter D is about Lawrence versus Texas. Again, Texas winning would promote independence. The people of Texas, making our own laws, wanted homosexual sex to be against the law. We may disagree with that, but that's what the people of Texas, through the representatives, enacted. If the Supreme Court comes in and says, no, you can't have that law to Texas, then independence decreases, because people from outside our political community are telling us the kinds of laws we have to have.